Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia, I am a tarot coach, and this is your weekly dose of mindful tarot coaching. 3 questions, 6 cards, several interpretations, and tremendous wisdom. As always, I invite you to listen carefully, pick up what resonates, and create your very own meaning following your intuition. Well, before I start, I would like to wish you a happy, authentic new year. Why? Because as you may know, 2022 is the year of the lovers, number 6 in the major arcana. And the lovers is all about love, relationships, and choices. And love starts with self-love and being in alignment with yourself. So in case you manage to take a step forward towards more self-alignment, authenticity, and in case you manage to become more true to yourself, it is going to make you much happier, and it is going to improve a lot also your relationships to others. So that's why, again, I wish you authentic, happy new year. All right then, having said this, now let's get back to the level of the week and take a look at the cards of the next week. Well, if you follow the channel, you may have seen that I didn't post any videos recently because I needed a well-deserved break, but I always posted the weekly cards on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you have seen this, what I'm going to say in this video may come across familiar. The reason for this, and this is the interesting thing about this week's reading, is that 4 out of 6 cards are the very same. This is not a coincidence. There are always reasons for this, and the card is a super nice tool, and it reminds us often to the lessons that are super important. So this is why there are some overlaps in the 2 readings. All right then, after this long intro, let's get started. Well, if I have to quickly sum up the next week in some bullet points, I would say renewal, healing, and synthesis. The main significator of the week is the Empress. Number 3 in the major arcana. The Empress is the woman in the tarot deck. She is all about motherhood, growth, abundance, nature, harnessing, healing, transformation, and being receptive and the like. And it means that those female qualities are going to be in the center of the next week. Well, the bad news is that given that the card has come up reversed, chances are that these female qualities are going to be out of balance this week. I don't know your life, so I think it's better if you think about in which way they are going to get out of balance, applying it to your own life. But I can give you some examples. For example, in case you are a mother, chances are that you are going to get exhausted, getting fed up with this, making sure that everyone else around you is doing okay, but neglecting your own self well-being. This is one thing. It can be also that you are going to experience some blockades in your creative work, or things are not going in the pace or in the way that you are expecting, and the like, etc. Again, try to translate it to your own life. This card is paired up with a reversed King of Swords, which is in a normal position, is a very mature representation of the swords energy, like the rational mind, attitudes, thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. So if the guy shows up in a normal way, we can expect a fair judgment, being very correct and being strict but very fair again. and being able to make decisions. However, given that this card has also come up reversed, we can expect that these, let me put it like this, male qualities are going to get also out of balance. It can happen in several ways again. For example, it can be that we or someone else in our surroundings is getting too judgmental, too harsh, too rigid, too strict, or becoming even more incorrect in some way, right? It can also be that this mental energy is going to be abused in a different other way. So make sure you keep an eye on this, right? And now, if I put these two cards together, I would say that the next week, probably these male and female qualities will lose balance. So it can be that these female qualities are going to be kind of oppressed and our rational mind is going to take over, or the other way around. Make sure you pay attention to this. And if I take a look at these two cards, I also see another interesting interpretation. It can be that we are going to have difficulties or some issues in our partnerships because we have here two ruling figures, a male and a female, and it can also be that there is going to be some issues with the parents. So I think it's a good idea to call them, to check in and see whether they are doing well. All right, now let's get to the next column, which is all about risks and potentials. And what we have here is a reversed sun. The sun was here in the very same position in the middle column last week, but in a normal position. And the sun is all about renewal, rebirth, inner child, inner freedom, optimism, success. It is also about finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel after a long dark phase. Well, this card has come up reversed as well, and it tells me again that something may stand in the way of this healing and renewal, as we have already seen here with the reversed Empress as well. So chances are that we are going to experience some setback on our way. It can be that we are going to experience some post-Christmas depression or something. Make sure to remember that this is going to be temporary, and at some point you are going to get out of it. This card is completed by a Page of Cups. I love this card so much. It is so funny. And if you take a look at the card, you will see why. The funny thing on this card is that there is a fish coming out of a bowl. Translated it to life, it means that we may get new impulses coming from unexpected resources. So chances are that our life and our subconscious is going to talk to us, sending us signals and new inspirations from resources that are kind of random, unusual, unexpected. And our job is going to be to listen to them, to catch them, and to embrace them, even if they are coming from these unexpected resources. And another important thing will be is not to let our ego and our rational judgmental mind to interfere. I emphasize this because we have here, you may remember, the reversed King of Swords, which refers to the possibility that we are going to get too harsh, too judgmental. So again, make sure to be receptive, make sure to be open, right? Which is also an interesting reference back to the Empress, because openness, embracing new things, being intuitive and being receptive is also a very important female quality. Make sure you practice this, because in case you are open to these new impulses, you may get some very interesting new inspiration that is going to help you a lot on your way. All right then, now let's take a look at the two last cards that deliver the advice. And the advice is delivered by the Judgment, number 20, which was last week the main topic of the week. Well, the judgment is all about a calling, an invitation for self-reflection, taking a look back, looking back to the last year, for example, and going through a kind of purging process. So if we sit down to our ass and if we are ready to do this very hard and sometimes stressful and frustrating self-reflection work that involves sometimes also difficult emotions, then we are going to gain a lot. So therefore it is going to be super important, especially if you want to create something better the next year for yourself, is that you first look back and do this reflection work. So let's look back in order to see what are the patterns, what are the common themes in our lives. What lessons did life deliver to me last year? Did I get them? And what am I supposed to let go? And what am I supposed to embrace the next year? So in case we are ready to do this work, we are going to gain a lot. In this case, we are going to understand our lives much better. We are going to see the big picture. And this way, once it starts to make sense, then we can let it go and move on. And this is why it is super important. There is one very important thing again here. When doing this work, it is going to be important not to get too judgmental, neither with yourselves nor with others. I emphasize this because, again, we have here the reversed King of Swords, right? And he refers again to the risk of getting too rigid, too rational, too judgmental and the like. So again, make sure you don't fall into this trap, but instead of punishing yourself and others, be compassionate and open and kind to yourself, understanding that we are all humans and what happened is okay. Well, this card is completed by a Two of Cups, just like last week. I like this. It is super interesting. The Two of Cups emphasizes again the importance of being kind to yourself, of being kind and compassionate to yourself and to others, right? What we see here is a couple. They are turning to each other, facing each other at an eye level, everyone offering his or her gift and making sure that if they cooperate at an eye level, they can create something which is more. The sum is more of the ingredients, right? This is one thing. So again, it emphasizes the importance of this love and empathy and compassion. Also referring back to the Empress, by the way, which has already signified the lack of this compassion, for example. And if you take a look at these two cards, you will see an interesting common symbol, and these are the wings, right? And going beyond. And for me, it means that it is going to be important to accept this calling and to go beyond and try to look at things from a bird's perspective, right? Because if you manage to do so, you will see the patterns, you will see the lessons, and you will understand the story much, much better. And this is going to help you tremendously in your healing and in your renewal. I love this. And by the way, there is one more thing which I see now. We see here also people coming out of the box, right? And this remembers me of this saying, try to think out of the box. And this is a beautiful reference back to here, to this card, right? So make sure you receive those new impulses out of the box or out of a bowl, whatever. So again, be open, be receptive, be compassionate and empathic, because this is going to be the way, and not being too judgmental and too strict. All right then, now last but not least, let's take a look at the whole constellation and quickly sum this up. So again, next week is going to be again about the importance of doing self-reflection and creating a synthesis, as we have seen here on the two cards, right? This is going to be super important and very helpful in our renewal. As we can see here, there are several cards that refer to some blockages in this process, and therefore what is going to be important is, when doing this self-reflection work, not to get too judgmental, but being compassionate, receptive, and also open to new creative impulses, right? And if we manage to do so, if we are able to receive the new impulses, embrace them, then we can move on, we can support our own renewal, and we can, by the way, also create a new basis for new cooperations and partnerships with others. So, to sum it up, renewal will be possible if we can do the self-reflection work and create a synthesis with compassion and love. I think love is a great last word. Thank you so much for being here, for showing up. I wish you a wonderful week ahead. See you next week again. Till then, take care of yourselves. Ciao.